I'm Mo Rocca, and I'm excited to announce Season 4 of my podcast, Mobituaries. I've got a whole new bunch of stories to share with you about the most fascinating people and things who are no longer with us. From famous figures who died on the very same day, to the things I wish would die, like buffets. All that and much more. Listen to Mobituaries with Mo Rocca wherever you get your podcasts.
Inspired by the life of the savvy and ambitious Colombian businesswoman Griselda Blanco comes a new Netflix original limited series. Griselda tells the story of a devoted mother who, with her lethal blend of charm and relentless savagery, creates one of the most powerful cartels in history. Witness Sofia Vergara's captivating transformation into the godmother of the underworld. Griselda, now streaming only on Netflix.
Barenaked, 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 ABCs. Welcome to the Barenaked ABCs, where we prove that we are go-getters right from the very start. That's right, I don't daydream, I don't procrastinate, well, unless it's filmmaking, but anyways, no, we are already in the ends, people. And joining me this week, I have Stefan and Heidi. Thank you for joining me.
Woo-hoo. Hey, y'all. Hey.
We are beyond halfway. That's awesome. It should go a lot faster because I don't think there's a lot of Z's or Q's or of those weird letters that you find in the rear end of the alphabet.
There are a lot of T's, though. We got a lot of T's coming.
I'm sure.
Lots of tea. Always lots of tea.
But we also have some guests joining us tonight from Barenaked Ladies Are Us is JD and Nick.
Thank you for remembering us this time. Yeah. Means a lot.
I listen to y'all a lot too. I do.
I got it right for once. I cannot believe it.
I got these panicked Twitter DMs and emails from Tracy last night, like, oh shit, I didn't invite you guys. I'm like, no, we did. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. We're good.
I've been a little stressed at work.
Right, yeah. I feel you.
And I've been having to deal with Stefan. That will do it.
That in and of itself.
Yeah. Yes.
That's enough for anybody.
I'm like a toddler. On crack.
The only difference is I just dressed my 11-month-olds before they went to bed. They were fully clothed.
Stefan likes to do things bare naked.
I can show you if you want.
He's a method actor.
Show you more.
No more.
I'll leave it up to my imagination and not like in a fun way. Just
how's that? I'll be a floating head.
Much. Oh, that's better. That's
great fan.
Yeah,
big fan.
I'm a big fan of that picture.
The floating heads, they were big. Was that David Byrne? No, that was his twin brother who was in Floating Heads.
Well, he never sang. It was always talking.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Same as it ever was, or.
Well, I keep forgetting the lyrics as the days go by.
Oh my God! How?
Oh, come on! That was not bad.
No, it was good. They're all good.
It was. We're on the road to nowhere now, folks. Either. So we might want to.
Don't tell me that I can't be punts. That I never do anything for this show.
There it is.
Because that's the song that we're talking about this week. If you haven't heard this song before, here is a quick snippet.
Life passed me by, but it's not my fault. Could you pass the salt? I can be that, as soon as you see that, I will never do anything. I can be that, as soon as you see that, I will never do anything.
Tracy, there wouldn't be a show if it wasn't for you.
Actually, that's kind of true.
That's true.
That's very true.
I know. I
True
speak
dat.
truths.
So since we
like
don't have
Bible
Aaron
study.
here, I can announce that this song is by Paige Robertson. It is off from one of my favorite albums, Maroon.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, Jeff isn't here either.
I have the
Didn't even give a
breakdown.
shout out to Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff is taking a week
Yeah,
off to work on some more of his music. He's got like an album coming out soon or something.
An album.
Imagine
Like a music
that.
album?
Not like a
Photo album.
That's right.
He's releasing some photos soon.
Those are the pictures you don't want to see. That's the fans only page.
Now, Trace, I do have the breakdown if you want the breakdown. If you don't want the breakdown, why am I even here?
I was just going to ask you, Heidi, can you give us a breakdown?
Break it down.
Giving you the breakdown. Breaker one night. Oh, wait, that's
Breakdown.
very Convoy. Sorry, I'm showing my age right now. Convoy? Anybody? Classic 1970s movie? No?
How about Network?
Okay, I'm freaking old. Okay, thanks. Thanks for that. Network wasn't bad, but Convoy. I mean,
Okay.
come on.
Is it bad that I never saw the film,
Um,
but I knew the song pretty well?
I knew this song first. What is it? Teddy Bear? Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Sorry. That 70s trucker culture was big in my house. Anywho, 98 beats per minute about there. Hit make or break. Breaker. In the key of G. Very interesting structure and form to this. You have your verse one. It is in the key of G, but it utilizes a lot of interesting other pitches. So for example, you've got a G chord with an F sharp in there. So there's E minor 7 chord, C add 9s, which I know
love
is
a good
Jeff's
C add
favorite.
9 too, though.
And
yeah.
it's one of my favorite too, because I love that C add 9.
We should get shirts.
Use E minor 7 chords, which are great. Yeah, we should. I love C add 9. It starts, you have a verse 1, then you have a chorus, then you have verse 2, then you have another chorus, but then you have 2 different bridges. A bridge to nowhere. Yeah, bridge 1, which is very different from the verses, and then you've got the chorus again, and they repeat the chorus twice. Then you've got this instrumental interlude, and then you have a bridge 2, and then you've got a chorus again. So it's a very interesting structure. It's not a traditional structure. And in the first bridge takes you out of the piece, and then you come back into the piece, and then the second bridge takes you back out again after that instrumental interlude. So very different song structure for this one, but it's one of my Heidi Happy songs. So I love this unique structure.
I like it when they do anything a little bit different with their songs. Like, they need to spruce it up and do different things and make it a little more interesting, and they do that with this one.
Mm-hmm.
They really do. And even like when he starts off in the key of G, and the verses are in the key of G, and then in the bridge he moves to the key of C. So he goes up to the 4. And so it's really interesting shift there that he takes the "Don't write me off as angry," or as also ran that whole section. He shifts into that 4 chord progression. So nice.
Very nice. Very nice.
Breakdown is what I got. Remember that the breakdown is what I got.
Another breakdown song now.
I know, right?
Your breakdown is completely sublime.
Oh, I see what you did there. Well done. It also has, in my opinion, some of the best lyrics of any. It's just, it's typical BNL lyrics. It's the Barenaked Ladies I fell in love with in the early 90s. And this is one of my favorite albums. So Maroon just became, I think, my favorite album.
I've never heard the album. I'm the outsider on all of these. Oops, sorry, guys.
That's good. We
on
need
all these
that.
shows.
We need the outside view.
Yeah,
you do. We do. Not everybody can be as obsessed as I am, or Tracy,
or Nick, or JD,
or Nick, or JD. Right.
I do want to bring out the obvious on this song, which is Kevin is all over this song.
Yes.
We've got, like, everyone's playing their basic normals, like Ed on the electric, you got Tyler on drums, you got Jim on electric, and Steve's just doing vocals. And then Kevin's doing organs, piano, clavinet, accordion.
But you also have the disc jockey thing. You've got that thing. I can't do it. But you know what I'm saying.
I put it in right there.
That thing. You've got a lot of that. So, which is so fun.
It's when I hear, like, when I look at the liner notes and I see this, all I can imagine is Jim as one of those one-man bands in the recording studio. Because
Jim or Kevin?
Kevin, sorry.
Right. Yeah.
I imagine
Jim
them
just stands there and plucks his little bass thing, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
He's learning. He can learn.
For me, I'm getting it. I was going to ask, what does Kevin do again?
all of the things.
Everything.
Yeah. I imagine him not as
know he was in the band.
I have this conversation with my wife. I'll be like, and then like, this was not yesterday, but I'll be like, oh, yesterday was Tyler's birthday. And she's like, there's a Tyler and Barenaked Ladies. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, you've been on the pod before. And she's like, what's he play? I'm like, what do you think?
We went over this.
Yeah. More than once
on live air.
And if you had to guess, what would you think a Tyler plays?
And then I'm like, who else is in the band? There. She goes, Steve. I'm like, nope, that's the one that's not. That's like the one that's not. Like, there's an Ed. I'm like, there's an Ed. Yeah.
Give it another try. Andy. No.
We go through the list. We eventually get there.
I'm very similar. I'm just happy that Steve is in this. So, for me, BNL is BNL with Steve. It's like you can have replacements all you want. It's just not the same. I like his sound. I like his singing. It just, he adds that depth and the richness to BNL that was lost, I think.
Well, I love it when he's coming back in. I want to say it's from into the first bridge, and we're coming in from the party. And to give that transition, Steve's like, he's just gonna build into it. Like, yeah, we're gonna rock now.
I love the live versions too, when he takes it a little bit more wild than that. Like, he takes the melody somewhere else completely, and the structure even. It's so cool. I love it.
Yeah. And this piece, seeing them live so many times, and this was especially back in the tours of Maroon, which I saw them, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 times during that tour. I'm not saying I'm obsessed or a stalker or anything.
Sure.
We know you are.
Steve, come on. I mean, Ed, Steve, Tyler, Kevin, Jim, anybody, come on the show, because, I mean, I'll be friendly.
How friendly?
I promise.
We will restrain her if we have to, guys.
I won't burn anybody's bunny. I'll be fine. Nobody got the burn bunny reference. Okay, great.
No, I got
aging myself again. But the energy in this song again is one of those things that makes a BNL show great. And the changes in Steven's ability to manipulate melody in a live performance to bring it that extra edge is always one of my favorite parts. And like, again, this is a song that is just one of those stream of consciousness songs, which we'll get into when we get into the lyrics, but it's so dang fun.
Yeah.
It's just a fun.
This feels like it'd be awesome to see live.
She said dang.
I said dang.
Fun song.
My filter is still partially on.
Carps on a cracker, filter. Right?
You'll learn that. I don't know.
Carp on a cracker.
Carps on a cracker. That's right. Carps on a cracker.
Carps are illegal in Maine. That's where I'm from, everybody. I'm from Maine.
We didn't get that the first 157 times.
I'm looking up right now to see what the statistics are on this song, how often they played this song.
That's a good idea.
Why don't you do that, Tracy?
It's going to take me a second. Usually I have this part done beforehand, but it's been one of those weeks.
It
looks like this is not one that they play anymore.
That's what I was wondering.
2010.
Yeah, has Ed done it?
Oh,
the last time.
So Ed tried it once or twice, or someone did, and that kind of ended it.
I know that Steve still does it every once in a while on Live from Home, but I would be. It just feels like one of those songs that's like Steve's. Like
Like most of Steve's songs.
It's very much like his persona going
Like
throughout
I would
it.
have a hard like most of Steve songs, right?
You know, they'll do Blame It on Me and Enid
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like they'll do those.
But it would be like the
It's not
equivalent.
BNL without Steve.
But
I mean, we severely disagree on that, but I don't want to get into that on this song.
I mean, like Steve doing Light Up My Room wouldn't make sense. Ed doing this song doesn't make, like, it's really hard.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great comparison, actually. Yeah. Yeah, Steve doing there was one song that I think he did Pinch Me recently on Live from Home, and I didn't watch that one, but I was very intrigued seeing that on the set list.
Well, that would be like watching him do For You. I couldn't see him covering that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's weird where you draw that line of like, I mean, some of them are like such smash hits, you got to do them, like they have to do it without him. But then it's weird that line of like, no, that's a Steve song. It'd be weird for you to play that. And no, that's an Ed song. It'd be weird for Steve to try that. But others, it's
like Alcohol, but they don't have Ed do it. They have Tyler do Alcohol because they're like, we have to do it sometimes, but Ed cannot do that. Like that just doesn't sound right.
But Tyler makes sense actually. So I mean,
Tyler works with that one.
Yeah, he really does.
Yeah.
Kevin would not work on that song. And I adore Kevin. I don't think he would work singing Alcohol.
I still remember after the breakup or after Steve left, they released their first show as a 4-piece. Like I think it was in Florida. They released it as like an MP3, and the Kev tried to sing Steve's parts in If I Had $1 Million and like forgot the lyrics in every single verse. And it was so funny because it just felt like one of those things where like you get so tuned into playing your part on a song, and he'd probably played that song hundreds of times. And then had to switch the role and was like, what does he say? like, I don't know what the words are here.
I'm too focused on the keys at this point. What?
Right, exactly.
That's pretty amazing.
Well, and Kev isn't an improv guy. Like when they do interviews, it's not Kevin they usually bring along. It's Ed and Tyler.
That's a good point.
Which is what I wonder why it's not Tyler that does the improv with Ed when they do If I Had $1 Million live. Like that would make much more sense.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Tyler's really good at that kind of stuff.
But we're on the wrong song. we should be talking about Never Do Anything. The only thing that I have to add about this song musically is the party in Studio 3. I worked really hard on trying to find more information about the party in Studio 3. And the information I got some good information, but it's minimal. I was hoping to find out some like good background stuff about why they decided to do this or where they did it, but I couldn't find any of that. All I could find was the people that were in it and who they are to the band. So
is this the background noise that is in the bridge?
This is the background noise leading into the first bridge, and throughout the first bridge is they I'm guessing they threw a party to get background noise. But I find it interesting so they brought in the assistant engineer who was in the next room. They brought in the engineer and mixer who was in the next room. So Jim Scott and Jen Hillard. But then we have this person I couldn't find anything on, which is Jane Oppenheimer. No idea who she is.
Didn't she do the atomic bomb?
I think it's a different Oppenheimer.
Okay.
It might be related. Oppenheimer.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Let's bring in that woman, the one that built the bomb. Let's bring her in here.
She'd be great on this album.
But the other person they have in there is Sweet Pea Atkinson. I'm like, okay, that is too specific a name to not be someone. And I was right. He was the R&B singer that was known as the lead singer of Was Not Was, which makes sense because this album was compiled by and produced by Don Was.
That makes sense.
It all comes together.
Although part of me just wonders, was he just there, just happenstance, or was Don Was they were like, we need to have a party in here. We need a lot of really great background noise. He's like, let me call my friend.
I know just the guy.
I know the guy to make noise in the background.
Flew him across the country. Yeah. That's interesting.
I've
never been much.
I wish I had more story with that. Like, I wish there was more to tell. How can they have this really cool liner note about this and not like say it on some interview?
I wonder. Yeah, I just watched again the interview with Don Was. It was the 20th anniversary release. Did you see that interview? I watched it today, and I don't remember if they mentioned anything related to that story or not. But it was Don Was, Kevin. Well, Kevin, Jim, Tyler, and Ed, and then somebody else was moderating. Gary something.
Sweet Pea Atkinson. No,
it wasn't. But Don was sitting in like a drum studio, and apparently some musicians were trying to get in, so he had to get off the call early. But he's a very interesting dude. Kind of looks like a really skinny Slash. Like he's got this long black curly hair. He's full of that. But it was
Don Was, we know you listen. Absolutely don't call us. Like we would have no interest in talking to you at all.
No.
Don.
No, of course not.
None at all.
No. Stay far away. Right.
Maybe he's a part of today's sponsor.
Don Was his studio.
I'll send you a link to that interview though. I'll see if
that would be great. I will put that in the liner notes.
Sure.
Well, if no one else has anything else to add musically about this song, we should probably get over to lyrics because it's an interesting song to discuss lyrically.
Oh, does anybody like the weird in the beginning of the song? It's like a high pitched kind of
that's like kind of playing over everything. Yeah, I think if it's what I'm thinking of, I love that part. That do. Yeah. I like that a lot.
Like a keyboard kind of thing. Yeah, I think it really puts a unique spin on the song because I haven't heard any other songs do that before. It's kind of weird.
When I like that on the album, it comes right after Too Little Too Late, which ends with a bang, and then it goes in again to this da-da-do, and then everyone's already right back into it. Like it just keeps the energy going right into the next song, which just keeps it going.
I love how it starts with a drum fill.
That feeling.
Like that does not feel very typical for them.
No, or lately at all to have drum fills
or drums at all.
I have grown sour on that, but drums at all.
Oops! I just opened like 5 of those windows that you. I clicked on it 5 times by mistake.
Silly bean.
Yeah, I didn't.
And now it's loading. It's going to start
I don't know how to operate computers.
My speakers out. Oh my gosh, he is like, is there any man underneath that beard?
I know, right? It's pretty impressive.
Oh, wow.
I know, right? It's really impressive.
Oh, I do remember seeing this. I watched this for a few minutes when it was live last year. I watched
the whole thing, and then I pulled up the transcript because I was looking for specifics that I thought I might have missed. So I pulled up the transcript, which is really weird to pull up a YouTube transcript because it's not accurate at all.
It's like reading Genius lyrics or something.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. But they talk about Brian Wilson coming in, and Don was bringing Brian Wilson to the recording studio or something, and Brian Wilson asking if the version that Brian Wilson did of Brian Wilson was cool. It was like,
yes. But then they went and they played a song for Brian Wilson, which was Tonight I Fell Asleep at the Wheel. I don't know what they were thinking. Like, that is the most odd choice to pick to play for Brian Wilson. I guess it's kind of psychedelic. So I could see, like, maybe they're like, you know what will really interest him is this really odd song that we've got.
It should have been played for James Dean.
Oh, that's not too soon, though. I mean, that was like a long time ago, but
maybe it wasn't so great to play after Dennis.
Oh,
that might have been. Maybe he was like, "Yeah, I'm out now. Thank you."
Huh.
So we were talking about lyrics. Would anyone like to start talking about what this song is about, or what they think the song's about?
About my ex-husband. No.
And you did it again. What's wrong with you?
I'm gonna see how many times I can get Tracy to do a spit
Digs
take
like that?
tonight. That's my goal.
You can only touch a
You know,
hot stove
that's
more than
everyone's
once.
secret goal.
That was a good one. That was perfectly well timed.
Who?
It's true though.
Me?
I mean, that whole. I have a lot of students that have suffered from this psychosis over the years. That yeah, I could do that, but never gonna get there. So,
It's kind of like what everyone accuses the millenniums of doing.
yeah, even from the beginning, wiped out down the stairs. I'll bet you there's a song in there. I'm not sure I'm prepared to write it down. So, and then, but you see somebody that's done it. Oh, that guy's playing that song that I should have written down.
Yeah.
And I'd look much better on TV than that guy does. And then everybody would see that I can do anything, but so you see that I really don't get around to doing anything anyway. So
I love that he uses himself as a laughing post on that though. Like I'm
Yes.
gonna start off making fun of myself about this song that I wrote that went nowhere and was pulled off the album
right.
by my friends.
For those of you that don't know, Stephen had written a song called Back after he fell down the stairs and hurt his back, but it never went anywhere. So
Just like he couldn't
that's
after
from
I
that
did not
accident.
know that was the backstory to Back.
surprise.
Oh, wiped out down the stairs.
Yeah.
I bet you
Wow.
there's a song in there. I'm not sure I'm prepared to write it down.
But the funny thing is he had already written it down, just no one
Right,
had heard
yeah.
it because it didn't get on anything.
That's funny.
We've talked about this a lot, that one of my favorite things about Steve is his self-effacing lyrics. And even if it's like, taking that and turning it up a little bit or turning it up a bunch, there's still a nugget there. Like what were we just talking about, Nick? The work at hand.
Yeah.
I think we were just talking about that from one of the solo albums. The line was where they're arguing. He's like, you were repeating verbatim the final ultimatum, and all that I could think was how to make it rhyme. Like you're in the middle of an argument, and he's like, "That's a really good line. I should write that." Hold
that
I
thought.
love that you've got like, yeah. Say that again, please. Yeah. So I've just always loved. I think that's part of what makes them so relatable is that they're never punching down or like punching, looking down on people. They're always looking down on themselves, and in a sometimes really dark, depressing way, but sometimes just funny way, and so I love that they started off with that too.
One of my favorite moments when I was listening to when Steve started his live from home concerts was when his wife Christine joined into the Discord discussion that was going on, and because she partially runs the Discord, she also was in the chat, and people started asking her like, what's it like for him to write songs about you? Like, isn't that a little disconcerting? Like when he starts singing these songs and you know who they're about? And luckily she took it very well and was like joking around and like giving it back just as well as she got. But
oh, good.
I read that and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is way too close to home. That's true.
I've had that same feeling though. Again, never ever comparing myself to the genius of Steve. I do. I'm writing a song and I'm like, okay, this is whether it's a love song or whether it's just like and maybe not an angry song like a punk one, but like a sarcastic one. I'm like, what are the chances that the person who this is about hears it and knows it's about them? Like, what am I walking a line here? Or am I going to be okay? And so far, so good. But
well, especially if you're still in the relationship with that person,
right? Yeah, true. And they're positive songs.
Well, that's
If you're still in the relationship and it's a bad song, they go, "Do you have to talk about something?" Like,
but the thing is, Steve's songs are never positive.
That's true. Yes, that's a good point.
tough point of using songs as a form of therapy. Is broadcast to everybody, including the people who you're theraping against or about.
What was it, Nick? Nick's a big listener of Comedy Bang Bang, the podcast. And recently they had Phoebe Bridgers on, who's a musician that we both like. And this is a long way of saying she had guested on Taylor Swift's album, how she's like redoing all of her songs because of this like music rights thing. And she's like, oh, I wrote a song with Taylor on Red. And Scott, the host, goes, oh, that's the John Mayer album, right? The one where all the songs are about John Mayer. because all of her songs are breakups, and he's like, what's it like to know that that's the guy that you're singing about? And she's just like laughing, trying not to do it. But like with public musicians like that, like the other guy, Bleachers, Jack Antonoff, he had like a pretty public breakup, and there's like breakup songs on the new album, and it'd be like so weird to just put that on and go, okay, I know this is about me, and like that's not fair. Like that's not what happens.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Well, and then for him to go out and sing about it every night for a tour.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Well, what's the BNL song off?
Reminds me of that line in the car.
In the car, yeah.
Turns to him and says, I think that's me. Which
In the
you
car.
guys all got wrong in so many ways, but that's for another day. I've already said this to Tracy. I'm like,
It sounds
so
like
I have a lot of opinions about In the Car, and y'all.
Heidi should have her own like retrospective side series, which is going
really
back
should.
over the other episodes.
Well,
things that the other Bare Naked
that does
channels get wrong.
that gives me a chance to say we do have a Patreon, people. I have not posted any Patreons of the After Darks in months because no one has signed up for Patreon. But if I get some people signing up for Patreon, like I'll go back and cover Heidi and Stefan and Jeff's thoughts on those early songs.
Absolutely.
I have no problem with doing that.
I mean,
I get to just sit there and listen to them talk. Like that's totally easy for me.
I listen to myself talk all the day, all the time.
Patreon people.
I can't tell if that's a threat or a promise.
Let's play tic-tac-toe. What do you think about that?
I love that line. Like,
can I say, I didn't even think about the fact that X starts first every
I
time.
noticed that as well. And I'm like, wait a minute.
And I was like, wait a minute. So, and then again, thoughts of turning pro. It's like everybody it's like having a dream, but never, ever doing anything to do it. Like I tell my students all the time, you can dream all you want, but if you don't put any effort in, you're not like, yeah, have dreams. Everybody says, oh, have your dreams. I want to be a pro tic-tac-toe, but I could be a pro at this, but
well, and that goes to the next set of lines that are in that same verse, because like today you can be a YouTuber, you can make big money on the internet. But when this came out, like you didn't make money on the internet. Like that was an absurd idea. Right. And so that whole verse.
You could. The only way to make money on the internet in the early 90s,
if you were a Nigerian
or
prince,
mid-90s, was
pornography.
Yes.
Wait a minute. Did you just say that?
So that's what I was wondering, because it involves the internet.
I like
and I'm
that.
like,
That's what the internet was designed
so
for.
the internet, because if you've never seen Avenue Q, the internet is for porn. The internet is for porn.
Don't sing anymore. We're going to get sued.
Oh, I only sang 2 lines. I mean, but it's so that's what I keep thinking, that it involves the internet. Anybody else think that? Because maybe
I've thought that. The only thing then is I've had to separate that line from the mint and lint line, and I think that's just me getting in my own head, because the first 4 lyrics are related, and so you assume the next 4 are related, but it could just be 4-2-2. So like, because I used to go like the mint, lint, and the internet were related, but thinking about it that way, they might just be 2 different ideas. And that only speaks to the point of this person being like, oh, I could do this. I could do that. I could do this. Like, I just don't feel like it.
But if you look at the rhyme structure, it's A, B, C, 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 D. But the B and D lines don't rhyme with each other.
Yeah.
So you would expect
you're right, though. No.
in an internet to be going together, but they don't. And they're far enough apart that you don't pick up on that. But
right. That might, and I'm looking back, it seems like the rest are the same way.
Yeah,
lip and salt and down, down and C, anything. Yeah. So yeah, that is the structure the whole time. Like A, B, C, 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 D, I guess. Whatever they want it to be.
Yeah.
There's not a G in there.
Which is a really weird thing for him to do. I like it when they do something really odd and bizarre like that, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. It is fun. Man, it's fun.
I know, right?
I just love this. I just love this song so much. I feel like it's, in terms of Maroon or in terms of a lot of their hits, it feels like one that could have been, maybe this is, subjective opinion, like as big as Too Little Too Late or It's All Been Done. Like I think it has that catchy of a melody. I think maybe the structure holds it back, but I think that's what makes it better. Like I think the fact that it goes into like the party section with that first bridge, you're kind of like, okay, what's happening here? Because you don't expect that. So yeah, I just get really excited whenever I listen to the song.
Okay, so maybe someone can make sense of why they decide to do the party piece there, because I could understand doing it with alcohol, like that's a thematic thing at that point, but I don't understand I like it, but I don't understand the thematic reasoning for it.
I always thought it was because it was the If I Were the King, and I always imagined like visually like the doors opening wide in this giant hall, and he's got like I've like super regal, right? Giant ass crown, cape, scepter, and he's
like
just
the
like
Burger King guy.
yeah, exactly. That might be exactly
Sponsorship.
Sponsored by Don Was and Burger King. But like I imagine him like walking through all confident and arrogant and stuff, and so that's how I've always pictured the party sound is like him walking into the Great Hall and everyone like partying and stuff like that. All the subjects.
And that's like that scene from
Drake and kiss his ass.
Well, and that's the scene from 1 week. Like that's the piece of that video.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
So that makes that would go better with this song than with 1 week.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, that's an interesting point there.
I bet Steve was like, you know what? I can write a song about this scene. I can make a whole song about this.
And here we are.
I do love that second, that the first bridge rather, you know, don't write me off as an also ran, like like a second place candidate, or they also ran, but mark me down as an angry man, and then because I got a big chip on my shoulder, so now you want to fight. And it's not like Ed's like take it outside, which I love that song, but it's like, you know, instead I'm gonna, you know,
it's like
I'm mad because I didn't achieve like you achieved, but if I just get off my butt, then maybe I would achieve something.
That's the thing, is that line, like, don't write me off as an also ran. It's like, I didn't even bother to try. Don't write me off as an also ran. Like, he's saying, like, well, if I ran, then I would have been the person that everyone chose, but I just didn't run. Like, don't write me off as the also ran, because I didn't even bother to try, because I would have, but I didn't. I love that.
Yeah. Well, and I like the chiclet line I want to get to, because that's the one that's always confused me a bit. But the I got a big chip, you want a fat lip. Like, I love that idea of, I feel like, I don't know, I know people like that just who are like all talk and but they won't actually do it. Like they'll you know, they'll step up to you. Not that, you know, I find myself in bar fights often. I think it's happened about 0 times. Not anymore. Yeah. But
then that mouthful of chiclets is brilliant. You want me to bust your teeth out like a bunch of chiclets?
Ooh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, that's a very 80s line.
Got it. There we go.
80s hockey reference.
Like, I know what chiclets are, but I was like, why is he offering him cum? like, is he backing away from the fight or something?
Him down on the ground, and then he just offers him chiclets.
Here.
It's like my experience with chiclets growing up is they'd always be in the little gumball machines at like restaurants and gas stations. So I'm imagining him like putting a quarter in, taking it out, and just chucking them at the guy's face.
Heidi, that makes a lot more sense to me now.
No, don't throw, man.
Yeah, that makes
way too literal.
I'm with Stefan. That makes
why
way more sense.
Want to offer him chiclets after like wanting to fight him? I don't get it. Okay,
it's a peace offering. I always have a pocket full of chiclets with me in case I need to make a peace offering to somebody.
You want to try that?
And this
That's my
line
favorite.
Too, this is, again, I teach college students, so this is all the time. And I'm a music ed person, so life passed me by, but it's not my fault. Like, I didn't pass that class, but it's not my fault.
Right.
I didn't show up ever to class, but it wasn't my fault.
Right.
I didn't do my homework, but it wasn't my fault. Like, there's so many. Everything just happened, but
there's always an excuse for everything, and there's never any ownership of the problem. Or, you know,
if you could sum this song up into one line, that's it for me.
Sorry, millennials.
But at the same time, he also knows that's not true, because the next line following it up is, I'll lick my wounds. Could you pass the salt? Like, I'm doing this to myself. I know I'm doing this to myself.
Right.
However, I'm going to continue doing it.
Come on. Make it worse for me. Come on. Say something more.
I'll also have that same student that says, oh, I know. I messed up. I didn't do my homework. Mm-hmm. And I'll get it done. I promise. I'll have it done by Sunday. And 3 months later, I'm still going, where's your homework? He's like, yeah, I know. Well, I still didn't do it. So I'm going to admit I made a mistake, but I'm not going to do anything to fix it.
Speak to him after they graduate. Yeah, I'm still looking for a job too. I'm still living with my parents.
There's I've got one of the live versions from the Everything to Everyone tour, and I'm trying to figure out if I can find the city. But the thing I've always loved is that when he gets to that line, he says, "I'll lick my wounds, sugar past the salt." And it's just like a one small little change, but I've always liked the sugar salt thing because, kind of opposites. It just makes me laugh every time. Very Steve thing to do.
Of course.
It is a very.
And I think we're all in agreement that this is a Steve song. It's accredited to both of them, but this is a Steve song.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. I just feel like he's playing a bit of a character in it. And I think like when you have something going on like that, it's hard to translate that over to Ed playing it later or something like that. Like it's Steve's persona that makes the song what it is.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Should we get to the second bridge? I love the second bridge. I love that courtroom feel, and courtroom as in like the king's court.
Oh, it's good to be king.
Good to be the king.
All my subjects would dance and sing. All of them. And I like it. He breaks away from singing at this point to he's speaking the lines, which gives it that different feel.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But then he comes back to "They could kiss my ring," and then he's like, "With ass, I'm back to the singing."
Yeah, that's the one. That's a good point. That's the one that he rings out.
Of course.
Yeah, he stretches that to many, 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 many syllables.
Oh yeah,
it's weird because it's like it feels like the first song.
Yes, that's a lot of A's
that I can think of. It's the first song that I can think of.
Which is for asshole, which is what I am. How rude of me! I'm sorry.
That's the other one. I don't
think Nick and JD know what to do with me right now.
No, I do. I just keep trying to figure out if I should abandon my story or not.
Oh no, because I'll just wait and I'll cut it back in.
No, I love it. Trust me. This is how Nick and I run our podcast, and then I just kind of go to the edit and go, yes, no, nope. Yes, and then something cohesive comes out.
Did I say something stupid? Get it out of there. Did Nick say something stupid? We're keeping that sucker in there.
Every time that's what I tell him. I'm like, learn to edit, man. Learn to edit. Like, it's all you got to do. He'll be like, no, that was my fault. I'm like, he goes, you just cut that. I'm like, no, I'm not cutting that. Or he's got to the point now where like whenever he sneezes, he'll mute himself, and then I'll still say bless you like audibly, and he's like, damn it, like I'm like,
I go so far out of my way.
I'll say something stupid, and I'll be like, great, I can edit that later, and then someone will say something nice and funny and retort like Stefan, and then I'm like, shit, now I gotta keep that in.
That's one of the hardest parts. Is like you start to cut something, and then you're like, okay, that doesn't make sense now.
Right.
And then when we the day that I told you that you could talk about me opening for Steve was like the next day was when the tour got postponed. And so I don't know if you ended up talking about it.
I didn't.
Okay, cool.
JD was actually supposed to open for Steve next month when he was playing in Michigan.
This Sunday. It was supposed to be
this
Sunday.
Oh,
this Sunday, yeah. But I'm still going to do it. We just moved it. He moved the tour to May. So sometime in May. So I'll still get to do it. But what was my point? So I had made an announcement about that on our show and then spent maybe 15, 20 minutes talking about it. And then of course had to cut it. And at first I was like, okay, cool. That's just one chunk I can pull out. And then Nick listens. He goes, all right, here, we made reference. Here we made a reference. There's these little lines, like little throwaways.
It kind of sounds like when I listen to our podcast, I'm like, wait a minute. I thought I was a member of this show. Like I'm completely cut out of everything. It's like ends up being just Tracy and Jeff and Heidi talking. I'm like, I could have.
Was I there for that?
I checked the calendar. Yeah,
was that a dream?
I was there.
Pretty sure.
Wait, I have that one line right there.
Right there.
And I'm Stefan.
And it's like I come in at the very end. Yeah, bye.
And everyone loves you.
I don't know.
Stefan was in the bathroom for the entire production of this week's podcast.
No Stefans were harmed.
No, they are.
They weren't harmed, but they were hurt. Anyway,
yes.
There's some important things that happen musically and also in terms of timing and speed. At the end of the song, you have that really weird yodel I'll put it in right here. Which I love the fact that that's in there. I can't say that it ever freaks me out. I just really enjoy that yodel.
Yeah, I did do it. I totally love that yodel. Again, they throw in such interesting things, but I'm still not sure why they threw out the yodel.
It doesn't make sense with the song, but I just love it.
Yeah. Again, the quirkiness holds no bounds, knows no bounds.
So there's one other part that's in the middle of the song, and I want to give credit to Saker and It's All Been Done, because he was actually able to slow it down and do it right, because I could not. There's a spot in the middle of the song where it sounds like someone is laughing.
I couldn't make it,
but it's not a laugh. It's actually, if you slow it down correctly, and Saker did this, I played with it for like a week and could not get it to happen. It's Ed saying, I guess you find this part hard to understand, eh?
Oh my Lanta. I thought it was like a chicken.
Yeah.
I always thought it was like a weird chicken sound or something.
The fact that they just, for whatever reason, at that moment decided to throw that in there, speed it up so no one could understand what it is.
Subliminal messaging.
And it's about the fact that you can't understand it.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Only Barenaked Ladies.
Never would have got that.
I think it's wonderful. And the other thing we didn't mention is during the bridge, Jim is playing this rhythm, this sound throughout the whole song. You get to the bridge and Jim totally changes up what he's playing in the background on that part.
I think I forgot to mention that in the breakdown. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my goodness, how did I not notice this on the 100 million times I've listened to this before then?
I think sometimes we listen to things so much though that it just kind of washes through.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what happened.
So I do want to share something that came up while I was researching this song. I thought it would go well right here. If you haven't read the book, I don't know if you guys have read the book, Public Stunts and Private Stories by Paul Myers. He has an amazing section in his book about this song and about this album. This was the album that he was touring with them and writing down while touring with them. He has this great objective view of the order in which they were starting to put this album together. They talked about this sequencing quite a bit, and Ed was really vying for more of a musical type flow where the song ending would end on a loud major key, so then the next song should open on an acoustic minor key, and Steve had this completely other take, and they were both trying to convince the rest of the band. Once again, the parents were fighting, and Steve's take was this should be a theme album. This was their theme album that they were going to do. This was almost it was still the second song that came on the album, and I half wonder maybe if Steve won this argument, because musically it does work, but I also see the themes going on here. The theme of the album was kind of today's subject in total. So it was supposed to start with Too Little Too Late as the opener, kind of as a musical overture to kind of show okay, this album is about someone who continues to make mistakes in their lives, and is it too little or too late for them to correct themselves and redeem themselves? And then Never Do Anything was going to be the second song, and it was going to introduce the main character of the album, which is this guy who continues to not do anything and could do something, and always a little bit too late on it, with the second song following it, Pinch Me, showing he's starting to come up out of that.
Always too late.
The album, what I love about that idea, and if it's true, I want this album resequence to do this, is it ends on Tonight is the Night I Fell Asleep at the Wheel, which is such a dour note of he's just about to redeem himself and he dies.
It's a tragedy.
I'm like, I want to see this play.
We said that we could have a musical from we need a Barenaked musical. Like
This album alone could be that musical.
Oh, this album is so good. It's just one of those, whenever I think of Maroon, there's not much to say about it because it's one of those, for me at least, that like goes so far that I just get speechless about it because I think of every song and I'm just like, that's so everything on it.
I'm trying to think if there's a song on this album that to me, I feel is weak.
There was one and I came around to it this week for me.
This one? No.
No, no, Go Home.
Really?
I never used to care for that, and Nick and I were joking. We just finally got our Maroon 20th anniversary vinyls in the mail. You know, the ones that we ordered last September, and I was listening to it, and it's that thing of where side one gets listened to the most because it's just easy to hit play as opposed to flip it. And so I kept playing Go Home, and I'm like, this is a lot better than I remember it being. Like, I don't know why I didn't like this one all that much. So I think maybe Sell, Sell, Sell would be the next one, but I don't think that that's weak. Like,
I think that
out of 12 great songs, it's the least great ?
And I think we're going to be coming up in like the next month or two on the one on this album that I think is the weak link, but it's not much of a weak link when you compare it to. I mean, it's comparing it to the rest of this nearly perfect album.
Right.
Did you just say a wink link?
I heard wink link as well.
My speech impediment says wink wink.
Well, this is what Nick and I have said with BNL and Coldplay, that like sometimes you're listening to an album and we always do like our favorite and least favorite, and eventually we get to a point where it's just like, listen, something's got to come last. Like it's not doesn't mean it's a bad song, but just one of them is the least good.
None of them are bad.
I'm trying to figure out which one you're talking about.
I'm going to have to borrow somebody's Maroon to listen to it, I guess. I've never listened.
Well, you're going to have to now.
Good. You're not talking about Off the Hook, are you, Tracy?
I'm not going to identify which one it is yet.
That is like my second favorite song on the album.
Off the Hook is the reason I'm on this podcast. Can I just say,
dude?
That's the reason I'm on.
You know what's really super interesting?
I've never heard
that'll be a fun episode, I guess.
Jeff, when he first came on, he identified one song that he wanted to make sure that he got Off the Hook.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, he joined the show, and I'm like, all right, well, we'll wipe that slate clean. And then Heidi's like, you know what? There's one song. I have to make sure I have this song, Off the Hook. And I'm like,
you need a girl's perspective on this one.
So I put her on it, and then,
that's actually a good point.
Jeff invited her right on. And I'm like, all right, well, we still have no guest. We actually just signed up a guest earlier this week for that episode. I'm like, this is it. Like, if you end up joining our show because of this, then we're not covering that song. I'm done. This cast is getting too big.
Well,
I'm listening to that episode no matter what.
It's like the Lear McNair hour on the show this day.
Oh man, that's so weird to me. Anyway,
Off the Hook. I'm gonna have to listen to that.
So good.
Is there a Barenaked Ladies song?
For me, that and In the Car, like, I don't know why. Those two in Convention Year, I don't know. Maybe all of them. I'm going
to. That's what I started to get to.
Do I have to listen to it in the car?
All of Maroon.
I have to listen to it in the car, right?
Yeah, that's the only place you can. It actually doesn't work if you don't listen to it in the car. Like, the audio doesn't play. It's real weird.
Okay, I'll listen to it in the car. What's the song again?
Off the Hook.
Off the Chain. Chains with a Z. Off the Chains.
yeah,
it's about fishing.
It's about the Titanic, Stefan. It's about the Titanic.
Oh, the
For
Titanic.
those of you that don't recall.
You couldn't protect the end of that
movie. So
movie.
does anyone have any recommendations for what we should do for a rating system for this week? Because Jeff is not here, so we can't go with his.
I mean,
I have a backup, but JD.
Jeff.
Chiclets.
I like that.
Good call.
I feel like it's got to be Chiclets.
Good call.
Yep. Got it.
We got Chiclets. All right.
Wait, hold on. We didn't discuss the very last lyric, which I think is the best.
Wait a minute. There's more lyrics?
When I'm old and gray, I'll look back on my life and say, give me one more day.
Still
And I'll
not
still
do
never
anything.
do it.
They'll never.
Like it's like, give me one more week to finish these assignments. I'm still not gonna do.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Do nothing.
I like there's like the self-awareness there. But
Right.
there's also maybe the like still hopefulness
One more day.
where he's like just one more day. But I still probably would never do anything.
Right.
Yeah. I know.
Come on.
Like wishing I could have had one more day,
Right.
or just like whatever.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
and he comes back to that on the next album as well. Upside Down, he says nearly the same thing with the genie.
Oh
What's
yeah.
the next album?
With Upside Down, and we'll come to this like 2 years from now. He says, and if the genie was set free.
Was set free. Da-da. And by the laws of things like that is indebted to me.
Oh, right.
I bury my 3 wishes deep underground. Like, it is so much this song in a lot of ways as well, which I can't wait to get to that song because I love that song nearly as much as I love this song.
Put us on that one. At least put me on that one. I don't care if Nick's there. I'm going to do it.
oh, hey.
I don't know what, Nick, I don't know what you're going to be doing in 2023, but I know what I'm going to be doing.
You say all this shit and you don't invite me to the one Everything to Everyone song.
Fair enough. Oh, we're on testing 1, 2, 3 already though. So that's we're already in that one. But yeah, I still want to do Upside Down because that's also one of my favorites.
It is a
that's true.
great
Okay,
song.
okay.
I do really love that album too. Like I really do.
It's Nick's favorite out of any BNL album. He goes to every.
What's the album?
Everything to Everyone.
Don't worry about it.
I think Maroon is still I don't know. It used to be Maybe You Should Drive was my favorite, and not everybody likes that album.
Interesting.
For some reason. And then
See.
I switched up and I fell in love with Maroon over Stunt. I liked Stunt, don't get me wrong, but Maroon I liked better than Maybe You Should Drive, which was always my go-to. I kept waffling back and forth between Born on a Pirate Ship and Maybe You Should Drive, but Everything to Everyone.
But that's what we said.
So
like,
hard.
I think Maroon is probably better, but Everything to Everyone is my favorite.
It's got good stuff on it. It's just good.
Oh, I love it.
And the
Do you
more
have a favorite?
I like Stunt better than this album, but I have to say, like, looking through this album, I almost think that this is nearly perfect album, more so than even Stunt, because Stunt finishes off with the baby song. And I'm just not a fan of the lullaby.
So When You Dream?
Yeah.
I freaking love that.
Oh, we're gonna have words.
Oh, we're gonna have words.
In like 5 years.
5 years. So by then, I might not have words anymore.
So get ready.
No, I do agree that I think like Maroon is exactly what you said. It is in my like not even just BNL albums, like it is a near perfect album to me and ranks. I haven't done I love making lists. It is probably definitely top 10 album, maybe even top 5, just point blank. Like it's just, I think it is accessible. I think it's creative and innovative. I think it's entertaining all the way through. It does what a lot of BNL, even now BNL and Steve albums do, which it has so many different genres that go throughout it, but it all still flows together really well. It's so good. Maroon is just perfect. Chef's kiss.
And I think we haven't mentioned it for this song yet, but I think we need to mention it. We have this song about never doing anything on the album just after they went hit in USA. I love how Steve's like still slapping himself a little bit.
Right.
Right at the top too.
Yeah. 1-2 punch. God, Too Little Too Late. So good. Yeah. Anyway, I gotta be careful. I'm just gonna get in my own head at this point. It's like, it's just good, isn't it? It's so good.
We're trying to turn this into our podcast where we talk about the whole album.
So what's that? So yeah, let's go into Pinch Me now.
So how many chiclets do you guys give this song? Why don't we start with JD? How many chiclets do you give this song?
Right. I want to give it 5 chiclets, but I know that there are songs that I like more than this on this album. So I think I have to give it like 4.7 chiclets. Yes.
Ooh.
Like it is close to perfect, close to a 5 out of 5, but there's 2 in my head that I'm thinking of, 3 in my head that I'm thinking of, Yeah, just 3 that rank above it in that 4.8 to 5 range.
What about you, Nick?
That's funny because I also had 4.7.
Eunuch.
Hey, don't mock me.
Eunuch.
Yep. We all heard, okay?
Sorry. I know. Oh, I wasn't trying to get her to go, just laughing at it.
No, I'm also going 4.7. It's just so good. A lot of the self-effacing lyrics. Steve's killing it. But yeah, it's just great.
I'm going to see if we can mix things up here. I'm going to see it go with Stefan, see if we get a different opinion.
Oh boy. Well, you know what? I'm just now thinking of what I would rank it.
He's like, oh wait, we have to do that part.
Yeah.
I've just been really enjoying listening to both JD and Nick tonight. And of course, Heidi.
Oh, Stefan, they have a podcast about Barenaked Ladies. You should listen to them.
They do?
Yeah.
I don't even like listening to me. I like...
No kidding.
They spend the whole time talking about the whole album.
Is it easier to find than ours?
It is.
Okay, good.
I think it even ranks up higher if you look at it on Apple.
Does it really?
Because I think I've only listened to 1 or 2 of ours. I'm like, am I in this?
And you weren't in them.
Well, and now they're covering Coldplay.
Yeah.
Coldplay. Oh,
yeah, we started like 3
Gotcha.
years into after you guys did, and we're done.
That's that Australian band, isn't it?
We just like to pick the bands that like get made fun of the most. BNL get made fun of the most. Coldplay get made. I don't know what our next made fun of band is going to be.
I was going to say, you guys got to be getting close to the end of Coldplay at this point.
We are. It makes me really sad. There was actually like a pretty decent amount of traction with Coldplay because they've got such a huge fan base. And so like we started getting fan mail and hate mail and like all this good stuff. It just makes me sad that we're near the end of it because I love talking about it so much, but such is life.
And the next band I choose has like 10 listeners. So we're going to,
yeah,
we're just going to lose it.
That's
all.
also why I'm trying to extend Coldplay out.
I was going to say, what's the next one going to be? I know it's Nick's choice next.
Yeah.
It's so we have not announced it yet. So if you want to bleep it, but I'll tell you, it's going to be.
Yeah.
How did they come up with the name Coldplay anyway? I mean, they're like, let's come up with a band name.
It was from a poetry book or like a storybook. And it was actually, I don't need to get into the lore of this, but one of the guys who I think was in the band Keen now, which is another British band, was using the name Coldplay that they were friends with in college. And then that band broke up and Chris was like, can we take that band name? And then
can we take your old girlfriend?
Yeah, exactly. You're not dating her anymore, right?
You sure you're cool with this?
It's okay. Yeah, like because we might be big and poof and just blow up and
yeah.
God damn you!
Yeah, I know.
Jesse's a good friend of mine. Anyways,
all right, Stefan. So we've been for a while.
Okay, yes. Chiclets, got it. Rankings.
How many chiclets are you knocking out of these guys' mouth?
You know, I thought it was pretty good. JD said that he likes the whole kind of music that kind of underlies things. At first, I'm like, what the heck? And then it like disappeared. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. And then Steve kind of kicked in. And I'm like, okay, Steve's cool. And I'm like, I was trying to listen to the song lyrics. And I'm like, I'm just horrible at that. And like that and remembering people's names. So I can't even do it. So I was like, I thought it was a good song. You know, 4.7. I'm not sure if I like it that much because I didn't really like the do kind of bit as much. I'm glad they ended it, but I can see why they had it because it's Barenaked Ladies and they like adding strange things into things. So, but I am going to rank it high because I thought it was a great sounding song. It came together. The lyrics were great. The music was great. I love Steve. I love you, Steve. I love Steve.
Steve, please come on the show. Stefan needs to go on about how much he loved you.
I'll hang out in your trailer all night. I'll snuggle. I'll do whatever you want.
If there's one thing artists love to hear,
it's a guy without a shirt telling him how much he loves him.
Well, I'm glad I'm not showing you guys the rest of me. So,
and now that has to stay in.
Yes, it does. I'd say that I'm going to give this like a 4.3 because I really did like the sound of it. It worked out well. The lyrics were great. I love Steve. And it's the do kind of thing that kind of threw me off, but they stopped it, so that's good. You know,
I love your Tweaky impression.
I'm horrible. I'm the least musically inclined person on the planet, I think, aside from dead people.
Heidi.
Okay. Well, so on my way to work this morning, I have a 2-hour commute to my campus, so I have a lot of time on my hands. And I went to listen. I was listening to your podcast, older episodes, both actually. I listened to one of JD and Nick's and one of ours yesterday. This morning. And then I went and said I should probably get more time listening to the song again, even though I've heard it a million times. And I accidentally clicked on Never Is Enough first. And I was like, I forgot how much I love this song. And I totally then was like, oh yeah, this is tonight's song. I was like, no, it's not. And I was like, this is one of Heidi's happy songs. And then I realized, oh, that's not my song.
By the way, that is next week's song.
Yeah. So now I'm already ready. It's perfect because that's my Heidi happy song. Because it's kind of like this. It's so similar in some ways to this one for me in a musical way. But anyway, I love this song so much. It's definitely not it's not my top like 3 or 4 favorites.
Right.
Similar, but I think I have to give it a 4.8.
Ooh,
nice.
Yeah, I just had to be
strong.
Yeah, it's the quirky upbeat, and I dig my low key songs, like again, Conventioneers, Off the Hook, in the car. I love those, but for different reasons. For Heidi's happy songs that make me happy, this is right up there. So
that's and like you said, it's away from perfect.
I know.
I know.
It's one of those songs that one of the reasons I love it is that it's quirky, like you said, but it's still like not off-puttingly quirky.
Yeah.
Like it's not one that someone's going to listen to for the first time and go, what the heck is this? Like it's quirky and you go, okay, yeah, like right off the bat.
Yeah,
and I feel like a Muppet when you're listening in the car and you're like, I can believe that. Right. Now you're seeing a Muppet, right? I have a feeling that we all have a Muppet inside of us, and especially when we're singing along to a song in a car, and this song just automatically, you're like,
am I a man or a Muppet?
What's that movie with Melissa McCarthy and the puppets?
I know what you're talking about.
Inside me. I'm not going there. Heidi, you said something that actually kind of spurned for me something we hadn't talked about yet, which is we have this extremely upbeat song about this guy that does nothing. I love it when BNL does juxtaposition, and that is exactly what Steve and the band is doing on this song, where they're just like, we're gonna have a great time talking about how we're never gonna do anything. And I'm like, and I'm right along there with them the whole ride. I love this song. It's on my playlist, and there are times I will seek it out. I will never skip this song. It is guaranteed. I will listen to this, and I listen to this whole album front to end. And this is just one of those ones that I absolutely adore. So I'm giving this a 4.7.
Woo!
Wow.
I'm the hater in this one. All right.
At a 4.3.
I know.
Oh, you hate this song so much.
That's a lot. Three of us, though, the same score.
Yeah.
I mean, I can up my score.
Oh, no. Stay true to yourself. Stay true to yourself.
I don't even know what I am.
We're trying to figure that out, too, Stefan.
I had it lower this morning. I was like, why am I so stingy with these ratings? Who cares? Like, this is such a damn good song.
There's literally nothing on the line. Like there are no stakes here.
No, but I'll know.
So, guys, this week's appearance is the fact that Ed was not the theme of this week's song because he did do a lot of things with his life, like appear on Charmed, and during the recording of this album is actually when he left the studio to go and record part of his thing for Charmed. I'm guessing he actually had a scene because it was reported in Patrick Lemieux's book that he left the studio during recording to go and record a scene for Charmed. On that episode, all you see are full B&L cast doing their I think there's a deleted scene somewhere where Ed actually interacts with the cast. I want that deleted scene to appear somewhere. They need to bring that back. But I love this because throughout the episode, they keep referring to Barenaked Ladies. Like Aaron Spelling must have really loved this band because like at one point they're like as they enter the club, Maroon is the big picture that is it. Like they come down the stairs and they have these different albums. The big picture of major album is Maroon right there and back. And then they refer to the fact that, B&L is supposed to be playing here tomorrow night. And then of course at the end of the episode come back to like B&L playing at the end of the night. So like most of the time if they had like a little thing like that in this show, it was not like the band would just show up and play in the background.
Right.
This was much bigger than that.
It's so weird because it feels like I know I said this on our podcast at one point, but I started watching when our twins were born. I was like going through the West Wing, and there's an episode where I'm sitting there watching it, and they're doing like a rally to get out the vote, rock the vote, and sure enough, on stage all of a sudden it's B&L, and I'm like, what the heck? That's awesome, but it feels like such a late 90s, early 2000s things that happened where bands were just like big bands were in the show, like playing at clubs, like on VH1 or at like. Or any of and it doesn't seem like that's a thing anymore. Like you don't see that on sitcoms or on like dramas or anything that just these big pop acts or rock bands are just part of the story somehow.
Because they're not trying to promote an album. The albums now are all digital and you can get them wherever.
That's a good point.
So
that's a good point.
People aren't going to a record store or ordering things online.
Oh, speaking of which, where people can get things online,
where
can people find more of you guys?
Yeah, where?
That was such a smooth segue. That's honestly one of the smoothest segues I've ever heard you do.
Thank you.
It was not forced. It was not.
Yeah, so we're on Apple.
You want you say you share the podcast stuff, and I'll share the music.
Yeah, we're
in our band called
Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, all the places. Barenaked Ladies Are Us. Co-Play Are Us.
Wow. Fucking really? Like that's what you got?
On campus in a classroom?
That was like a Stephen Wright approach.
Yeah, so right now we're Coldplay Are Us. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're on Stitcher. You can find us all over the internet. Check us out. See how that
just cut my part.
Thank you.
Fine.
Yeah, and then I've got.
Tell them about King Ink.
Yeah, so you can see my cool t-shirt kind of. So what I booked the show to open for Steve in Grand Rapids, and then like all this stuff got into motion. The tour got postponed, which is a bummer, but again, he did it for safety. I'm 100% on board for it. But I started getting all this merch made to sell at the show. And so I'm booking another show in November in Grand Rapids, but so my act is King Ink. It's on Bandcamp, iTunes, Spotify, everything. On Bandcamp, there are CDs, T-shirts, long sleeves, a bunch of really cool stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, Spotify, iTunes, Bandcamp, all that stuff. It's good stuff. It's okay.
And everybody should go and visit Grand Rapids at some point. It's a great place.
Yes.
They should go and visit Grand Rapids in May when Steven does his songs and JD is opening for him.
Does his songs. You mean plays a show?
Yeah, that would be the word I'm looking for. Yeah.
I'm going on to...
Steve has this awesome show, and JD does his songs.
That thing, he does a jig or something.
Yeah, it's a variety show. He does magic for a little bit, some stand up, even paid variety hour.
You know what? You know what? I could sit here and listen to you guys forever. Never is enough.
Oh my Lord! Never is enough of Tracy's jokes.
Or enough is enough is enough.
Well, if you can never get enough of my jokes, come back next week as we discuss Never Is Enough.
Absolutely.
Thanks, that was fun. Don't forget, no regrets, except maybe one.
To celebrate celebrate joining Pantheon Podcasts, Rock Camp, the podcast, the official podcast of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, is giving away a guitar signed by Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater, Marty Friedman, formerly of Megadeth, and legendary shredder Zakk Wylde, plus our rockstar counselors like Vinny Appice, Monty Pittman, and more. To enter to win, simply follow, rate, and review our podcast on your preferred platform, and that's all you have to do. For more information, go to rockcamp.com/podcast.